Okay, this is section 6.3. What you're seeing here is actually the same list of numbers, perfect squares, cubes, fourth powers that you had written down with the previous section, so you don't have to write these again unless you want to. You'll just want to have these out handy as you go through your homework and to be able to refer to these. So you'll see me pull these back up here as I'm working the examples. All right, first thing that we're going to do in 6.3 is actually look at adding radicals or also subtracting, because you'll do the adding and the subtracting the same way, okay? So, a couple things I want to point out to you. First of all, you'll notice that I have ends. Those do have to be the same when you're adding, like both square roots or both cube roots. What you have underneath has to be the same when you're adding and subtracting. And once you've ensured all of this is the same, then the only thing that you actually physically add or subtract is going to be whatever it is you have in the front. Okay, so that's why you see over here it says A plus B, because that's the only part that you actually physically add. So, as the two statements say here, the same thing I've already said. The expression underneath the radical sign must be the same to combine when adding or subtracting. If you can combine them, then you just combine what is in front of the radical sign. All right, so going through several examples here with the adding and the subtracting. All right, so first one, just kind of make sure you got everything the way it's supposed to be. First of all, you need to have the same root, which we do. They're both fourth powers. What you have underneath is exactly the same. They're both just x's. So based on what I just explained to you, in order to be able to subtract these, all you have to do is actually subtract the numbers that you have in front. And that's not like a step you have to write down. That's something you can easily do in your head. So therefore, 9 minus 6 is 3. So your answer is 3 fourth root of x. Okay. All right, next one. Now on this one, you do have your roots being the same. These are both cube roots, but see, if you notice this time what you have underneath is not the same. You cannot add these together. So that's why it said on the instructions, if possible. So on this one, you would just state that it's not possible. Okay. Third one that you see here. Now, obviously, what you have underneath is not the same, but we're going to talk about that. This one's not going to be, this one we're going to be able to work, but we're going to do some work to it. These are both square roots. Remember, you got understood twos here. Now, I couldn't do anything a while ago with the 6 and the 7 because, of course, these were cube roots. So, like, if you were to look at your list of cubes, so here's your list of cubes, 8, 27, 64, 125, 216. None of these numbers will go into 6 or 7 evenly, meaning I can't simplify them, okay? But there's going to be some simplifying that we can do on this number 3. Now, these are square roots. So this time you need to look at your list of perfect squares. So what you have in your list that will go into 20 evenly is the 4. Okay, so we're going to rewrite this as 14 square root of 4 times 5. Okay. Now, 125, of course, again, we're dealing with our perfect squares. 125 is not on our list. It's not a perfect square. But what on this list will go into 125 is 25. So you'll be able to rewrite this as 25 times 5. Now, we did this simplifying in the previous section, okay? So we've already learned how to simplify. Okay, square root of 4 is 2. Now, when I bring that 2 out front, remember you multiply it times anything that's already out front. Square root of 25 is 5, and this 5 is just left underneath. So 14 times 2 will give me 28. 3 times 5 will give me 15. Okay, But see, now I have this simplified to a point that I can subtract now, because these are both square roots. What I have underneath is exactly the same. Therefore, I can do the subtraction here. So 28 minus 15 is going to give me 13 square root 5. So if you can simplify, then you are expected to simplify, and hopefully once you do that, then you'll be able to combine them together, okay? But like in this case, there just wasn't any simplifying I could do with these particular numbers, therefore I can't add them. It's just not possible. Okay, and 4. All right, so these are both cube roots. Of course, they're not the same, but let's see if we can do some simplifying. All right, so look at your list of cubes. Okay, so what number do I have in my list that will go into 54? And that's going to be 27. And it'll go 2 times. Okay, now 16 is not a perfect cube, but 8 is. 8 is on my list, and 8 will go into 16 2 times. Okay, so now you got your 4 out front. Cube root of 27 is 3, so that 3 comes out front. The 2's left underneath. Okay, cube root of 8 is 2. And then this 2's left underneath. Okay, let's do one more step here, because I've got to now multiply the 4 times the 3. So I'm going to have 12 cube root 2 plus 2 cube root 2. So see, now they're both cube roots. They both have 2's underneath, which means now I can do the addition. So you just add what you have in front. So that means your answer would be 14 cube root 2. Okay, next one. Now these are 4th roots. Okay, so we've got to come on down here and now look at this list of numbers, okay? So obviously 32 is not on this list, but 16 is on the list, and it will go into the 32. So we're going to rewrite this as 16 times 2. Okay, now 48 is not a perfect 4th power, but 16 again is, and it will go into 48 3 times. Okay, so now the 4th root of 16 is 2. Again, 4th root of 16 is 2. Okay, but now you still can't add. Even though I was able to simplify both of these, this one left a 2 underneath, this one left a 3 underneath, which means you cannot add these. Okay, now when you're checking your answer in the back of the book, they'll actually, I think, just list this as the answer instead of saying not possible, because you did do something to it. You were able to do some simplifying, but it's not possible to add. Okay, so by them listing this in the back of the book, clearly you can tell you were not able to add those together because they're still 2 separate terms. Okay, next one. Now this time I have 3 radicals. So we're going to see about simplifying all of them, all 3 of them. Now these are all 3 square roots, so I'm going to use this same list of numbers across here. So 72 is not a perfect square, but 36 will go into it. So we change this to be 36 times 2. Okay, now 32 is not a perfect square, but 16 is. And it'll go 2 times. And 18, we'll use the 9. So that's going to be 9 times 2. Okay, so the square root of 36 is 6. Square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 9 is 3. Okay, so now that we've simplified, they're all left with 2's underneath, which means you can combine all 3 of them together. So you just do the 6 plus the 4 plus the 3. So that's going to give us 13 square root 2. Okay. Okay, one more of these. And the difference that we have here is that we've got variables involved, but we worked with those in the previous section. Okay, so these are square roots. So again, you're going to look at your list of perfect squares when you simplify this. Now, 216 is not a perfect square, but I do believe 36 goes into it. Yes, 36 goes 6 times. Now, your y squared. Look at your list and see a square is already a perfect square. So you're not going to do, you just leave it like it is. There's no need to break it apart. Okay. With the 54, I guess that would be 9 times 6. And again, leave the y squared. All right, square root of 36 is 6. Now, the square root of y squared, remember you got an understood 2 here. So remember this number into this number. So that means you'll just have y to the first power out front. This 6 just gets left underneath. All right, so here's this 3. Square root of 9 is 3. The square root of y squared is just y to the first. And then this 6 is left underneath. So that means I have a 24y square root 6 plus 9y square root 6. Okay, so these are the same. I can combine these together, even though I've got the y's, it's just like terms. So a 24y plus a 9y is going to give you a 33y. So you'll have 33y square root 6. There's your answer for that one.